Hello, everyone, and welcome to SCORE Fairfield County's live webinar on creating social media content to connect and build revenue during and after COVID-19. I'm Bob Hogan, the webinar coordinator today and a business mentor here at SCORE Fairfield County. I'll be your host, and our presenter is Kate Berg. More on Kate in just a minute, but first, some brief information on SCORE. SCORE is a national nonprofit partner of the SBA. And locally here in Fairfield County, we have over 130 volunteers with a wide range of industry, process, and subject matter expertise. And we offer three primary value-added services to small business owners. First of all, we offer free one-on-one business mentoring, and you can obtain that by video, by telephone, by email, and you can access that by either going to our website and clicking on the Request a Mentor link, or you can use the bit.ly link that you see on the screen. Our second major service to small businesses are education workshops and webinars like the one we're doing today. We do roughly 150 throughout the year. And lastly, we have extensive resources on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org. And you can access those. And also, if you're on our website, you'll notice that we have a wide range of archived webinars as well. Our next live webinar is tomorrow, Wednesday, December 9th at noon, and the topic is nonprofit fundraising in the age of COVID with Stan Whitcow presenting. And you can find more specifics on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org. And just some useful information about today's event. We have set aside time for Q&A at the end of the presentation, but also Kate is willing to take questions as we go along and keep this as interactive as possible. If you want to ask a question, just hover on the bottom of your screen and you'll see a chat feature there, and you can type your question in the chat box at any time during the program. We're going to end sharply at 1 o'clock to respect your time. This session is being recorded, and the link to the recording will be available on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org, within the next couple of days. It's now my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Kate Berg. Kate has over 25 years of experience in technology and strategic marketing, where she is focused on helping companies grow, go public, and secure venture capital funding. A recent company she led was sold for $100 million in 2016, and she built 2 social media and mobile-based businesses before 2008. Kate has deep experience in content marketing and influencer communities. During her career, she built global PR for Gartner in the 90s and helped KPMG Consulting go public. And she's been a member of SCORE for over 10 years, joining us back in 2009. Kate, it's our pleasure, and it's all yours.
Hey, thank you very much, Bob. Appreciate you all. And thanks so much for everybody taking an hour of your busy day to join us. And SCORE is a fantastic resource, and I'm glad to be here. Penny Jones asked a question, and I'm going to hold it off for a little bit, but we'll get to your question on network marketing, Penny, at the end of my presentation. Thank you. So really, you know, talking about content marketing as a entrepreneur over the years, I can relate to the feeling of sort of, I wouldn't say panic, but a little bit of anxiety with the topic of content marketing being discussed. You feel like there's an awful lot of pressure on you to build and create compelling content that could stand the test of time for your business. And so this session is really, I want to be able to demystify it and maybe take it off its pedestal a little bit. And so we can get creative and thinking outside of our normal boundaries about our businesses and how we can reach and build new audiences, new loyalists, and build community around our businesses so that we can sustain for the long haul during some tough economic times we're in right now. I put a quote up here from a pretty famous marketing expert named Neil Patel, just to kind of level set in terms of what content marketing is. And and it is a long game, I think, is the point of me putting this quote. It's not magic. If you decide to create some content, you may not see the results right in the moment, but it is a creative activity that will really benefit your visibility as a business, as a brand, and educate your base and build your business over time. And that's really the goal of content marketing. And frankly, it's the only way most of us are receiving information now. If you think about your daily digital diet. Oh, that was alliterative. So I'm going to start with this very important, I think, slide that we've used with other SCORE sessions, which really talks about the mix of digital marketing. In the top left hand, you've got things that are earned. In other words, you're not paying advertising out there. You're not hosting it on your website, but these are things that are happening in the digital ecosphere, such as a review about your business, which we all know as consumers of various services and products, we look to find that validating information before we spend dime one with a company, even if it's just a meal. So it can go from a meal to buying a home. I mean, it's incredible how much we rely on reviews. So think about that as part of your overall visibility mix. And what are you doing to help that? And we'll get into that a little bit. Media coverage, guest hosts, meaning other people are talking about your business. Maybe you've asked them to, or maybe they've done it spontaneously. Mentions and social shares and influencers. The owned in the yellow corner is really your own website. The profiles that you have out in social media, email marketing that you may do to your prospects and or clients, and the pages, your social pages. And then the paid on the top right there are all of the paid advertising options that you have for your business. And the optimal mix sort of is in the middle of all those and leverages all of those to build your value and build your visibility and your authority and credibility in the digital space. So talking about building a content strategy, I just want to give you a few points. Sorry about that. I skipped right through the first three. The first one being, it sounds obvious. Some of these things may seem basic, but they are worth diving into. Talk about the most compelling aspects of your business. There's lots of things that go into your day. As I was preparing for this presentation, I thought about a company that has been in the news, sadly, because of its founder's passing, but Zappos. Zappos is compelling for two reasons in my mind. The best customer service that really was a standout from the moment of them launching until this day. And when Amazon bought them, Jeff Bezos wanted that company to remain under its CEO and founder because they had this culture of customer service that was unshakable and very definitive for the brand. So that's something compelling. And so think about it in terms of your business. Number two is each piece of your business and each piece of the content you create fits into the larger brand story that you're telling over time. And that might be over a year, multiple years, but these are all part of your brand. And you also feel like a journalist when you create content. And I think this means that it's not old-fashioned promoting and ad hocking. It's really about telling the story of your customers, the problems you're resolving for them, the joy you're bringing them, the great services that are being used. And this may indeed be told through your customer's eyes, and we can get to that in a minute. But in any case, it's somewhat of a journalistic mindset. You share your expertise. This is critical, and in fact, using an example of, let's say you're an IT security expert, and you help keep both businesses and consumers' IT situation sorted out. Now, that would be increasingly important during COVID, as many people are working from home, and some businesses may not supply that to their employees. And so perhaps you have a newfound interest in making sure all your systems are secure. Well, there are lots of ways for you to share your expertise as the owner of a business like this. And you might do some longer form content on LinkedIn. You may join groups that are affiliated with this topic on LinkedIn and share your expertise and your opinions there. That's two different ways you would be getting visibility, both through a post or a series of posts and through your engagement within a group on LinkedIn. This is a commitment of time, however, really building credibility, visibility, and brand authority. And you might, as a different type of content in that regard, share your expertise. Maybe you're also using Twitter. And you could say, I'm going to just share customer success stories, little blurbs on Twitter and talk about it. Maybe clients would be tweeting about it too. These are just quick ideas just to give you color on those examples. Number 6 is you tailor and repurpose content for different channels, but the core message is the same. I think I just sort of illustrated that point in the IT example. In that, in LinkedIn, you may have a tone and a length of involvement, engagement, whereas Twitter might be a different kind of style. However, the core message is the same for your business. And of course, COVID would really bring home number 7, is that you may have your year planned out and you may have messages that you want to share about your business. However, you've got to be flexible to be relevant in the moment. This is the last of the vegetables on our plate today, and then we'll get into some more fun stuff. But clearly, nothing is really going to be effective unless you're measuring how you're doing. You have to know that what you're doing has efficacy. And these are a list of things. They don't need to be, you don't have to use all of these, but pick several of them. I think certainly sales and revenues increasing would be on the top of the list. Perhaps a specific initiative you decide to try is just to see how many forms you can get filled out on your website, or how much engagement you can get in a particular activity. And I've talked to a lot of business owners that try something and they don't think it is going to be very successful, and it really does catch fire, if you will, and get a lot of good reaction on any different social platform. And so they decide they're going to devote more time and energy to it. So you've got to really be prepared to measure, have someone on your team measure if you have help in your business, to see where your results are coming from and double down on those. That's the great thing about digital marketing. It is iterative, and you have the ability to change it very quickly, depending on the success rate. So jumping into types of content, I picked just a few here to discuss today because, as Bob mentioned at the beginning of the session, I really like to engage with webinar participants, and when I'm doing in-person events, it's probably the most exciting part of the sessions, because we learn from each other as business people, and there's so many great ideas out there, and also people share things that are working for them and that I may not be aware of. In talking about user-generated content, I think these are some of the things that are maybe already in your wheelhouse. Maybe you're already trying them, doing them, but I think it's important to use the community, and that's the users that we're talking about here, to speak about your business. And there are tools out there that can help you do this. For example, the last bullet, Insta repost and repost for Instagram. These are apps that have been created for the express purpose of sharing content from other users. So you can amplify things that you may have to say about your business, but other people are saying, and you can really latch onto it and increase the words out there that are being said about your business. Let's say, for example, you're a career coach, professional coach, and clients may share content about their successes, and you may reach out to them and say, we've done this, together. I've participated in your success. Is it okay if if I repost some of your success stories about how you've done in your career? That way, being able to have a double the opportunity to be seen out there. Also, I just really think building community and supporting others is a great way. The successful entrepreneurs I've seen in many, many different settings in the food industry, in other industries, they support one another, and almost seems at first counterintuitive that a restaurant on a street would really bend over backwards to support his neighbor 2 doors down. But it's common theme. The more supportive and generous folks are, it feels like they're building community and everybody's winning. So talking a little bit about video content, this has been a tsunami coming for a number of years, and 2020 was the date that 5 years ago they said almost 85% of content on the internet will be video content. And now we're at 2020 and it's about 82% according to some data I just checked on. And this video is in so many different kind of forms in our media consumption that we may not even realize how much video we are consuming on an average day. The bottom of this slide says 4 out of 5 people surveyed in this marketing marketing survey said that they prefer video to reading blog posts. And I think there are, easy reasons to understand that. Some of it is the form factor of a phone, which is small and maybe easier to see a video than to read a post. Just time and just snacking, as they call it, video, digital media snacking. People will engage in your video content. Now, I'm not going to spend a lot on a how-to during this session, simply because there is so much great content out there for you to learn in from a variety of different experts, how to, say, create a story on Instagram. A couple of the vendors I'll get to in a second have amazing videos, and they're hour-long sessions, they're half-hour sessions, lots of different instructors, they're totally free. And so it would be kind of duplicative for me to go into a lot of depth on how to, although I will touch on a couple things in a minute. So these are some of the ways that video content can be seen. Obviously, TikTok has changed a great deal of the tone and tenor of video content. One example, just a sort of a quick one, I saw a very short, it wasn't a TikTok video, but it was in the style of a TikTok video for a clothing store that had reopened after being closed during this last time. And there was a little kid just doing a happy dance in the sort of the entrance of the store. And it was captured on video and with mom. And it was just the shortest, sweetest little video put to music, basically with text saying, we've reopened. And, that is a very simple but effective technique to be able to communicate and build community and share a little fun. So getting into stories now, if you're not familiar with them, these are short form videos that are fun and authentic. They're meant to be, while not unprofessional, they're meant to be a little bit on the lighter side. I've seen, I'm sure you have too, if you're on Instagram, really interesting use cases by businesses that are in my community. And they run the gamut from reporting style to light musical things like we just talked about. It is growing fast. I would say that if anything, my Instagram feed is more commercialized than it ever has been. And that's certainly one of the delicate balances of these platforms, because as they grow, more marketers are going to flock there in order to get us, to reach our eyeballs. So, Instagram stories are a great way to keep your visibility high. As people do engage in a lot of them in just a matter of minutes, you could watch several. But at the bottom, I do point out that you want to balance a little bit. Long form content is still important for your business, for your search engine optimization, for Google SEO. And what I mean by that is, so you may want to refresh your website if it hasn't been updated lately, and talk about some of the problems you're solving or some of the wonderful things you're creating for your business that pertain to your location, to the specific type of industry you're in. Those words and that context is very important to continue to have good search engine optimization and be visible for the engines that are crawling the web. So I dive in a little bit here simply to give you some information. I just searched on YouTube how to make Instagram stories. Really awesome tutorials. I also found a couple of editing apps so that if you feel like your phone isn't going to do a good enough job, there are a couple of, I think, either free or really like just a couple of dollars editing apps, LumaFusion and PowerDirector for Android. And these are just some tips here to shoot vertical, which I think you probably all know, and nice and short, or plan to edit them down. These are not intended to be documentaries, but there are great tutorials that I promise if you devote an hour to, you could do it like a pro. TikTok is one, I would say, if you look down at the bottom there, I put only if your target customer is between the ages of 10 and 30 years old would I consider using TikTok. Right now, 62% of the users in this year are in that age range. Platforms have a tendency to age up as they are in the market. For example, Facebook, most of the growth is happening in the 55 and over category now. There's absolutely no growth in this area, the 10 to 30-year-olds. So, I think when you're thinking about your content strategy, it's really important to think about what are you trying to achieve, goal, and two, who are you trying to reach? And that will really lead you to one platform or another. I just want to share an interesting use case on TikTok. I love this story. So there was a Washington Post reporter, a young guy, who suggested that he film and make little TikTok stories and featuring different journalists. And he spent probably first 3 hours of his day, with his boss's permission, creating snapshots of each of these journalists that they wanted to feature. The goal was to share with a new audience, this young audience that's on TikTok, how great the Washington Post coverage is and the quality of them. And it was an extremely engaging, effective campaign. And he did his reporting job in the afternoon. And now this has become, TikTok's become a really go-to platform for the Washington Post. Very successful in helping them spread the word to a new generation of readers and lovers of their work. Another platform is called PhotoFi, and full disclosure, I am an advisor and an investor in PhotoFi. This is a really interesting cross-platform content creation tool. It's really excellent for if you have employees, if you're a multi-level marketer, network marketing, like Penny Jones, your question was related to this. This might be something you would want to use to keep brand assets very, very consistent along when all kinds of people are posting about the business. It's a really simple, easy app, and it's mobile first app. They do have a desktop version, but it's really intended for mobile. And it ensures that your brand assets are instantly recognizable. I think this is more and more important as the web becomes more and more visual and less about the written word. They are offering for COVID it's almost at an end. They did a 6-month program for small businesses to really help you attract new business and build your business during a tough time. I urge you to check it out. So I did talk a little bit about reviews before, and I do think this is an important one. One session I had, we really got into a great discussion about asking loyal customers to review your business for you. I think this is such a easy, free way for you to build your visibility, and it will really pay off for you. Peer-to-peer has been here for a while, and you say, why is that important? Well, I used to be able to tell you in advertising that my business was the best, and you had to believe me. But now we really, as customers, you can find out for yourself. You don't need to take my word for it if I'm the best business out there for the need. So I think that's something that you should invest some time in. And of course, use case studies. They're so valuable. And if you can have the story told through someone else's success, it's just so much, it's so very compelling to hear about big problems that were solved, or lives made better because of the business that you have and that you've provided to them. If you don't have their permission and you feel awkward asking, you don't need to use their name. You can just talk about them in abstract. So you might be saying, how am I going to do all this? This is really a lot of information to manage. Oops, sorry about that. I would say, sorry, I'm having a little trouble here. Hold on. MailChimp has been there a long time. It's been out in the market for probably close to 2 decades now. But they've really invested in their small business package, and they have decided they want to be a go-to for small business. So now they've got a lot of different things wrapped up in their offering at a really affordable price for small business. And so this would enable you to do retargeting if you're doing paid social media ads, posting of social, as we've been talking about, and customer relationship management tools that's the newest thing that they just developed. I think they bought a company and rolled it up into their offering. So this is something that I would invite you to look at. I am not an investor in MailChimp, but I do know that many small businesses use them and like them. ExactTarget and Constant Contact are also great options. And these, the prices on these are within reach. And frankly, I don't know how else you would do digital marketing if you didn't have some platform. So you really do have to make the investment. This is a company that has been out probably 10 years. It's called Later. And I found this, there are a whole series of articles and tutorials. This is what I was referring to before. Later has made it their business to put out great content, and this is to your benefit. Content marketers or companies that specialize in content marketing, like Later, which really focuses on Instagram, like we're talking about, they need to share their expertise out on the web for free. So it's there for you to learn from. It's just an avalanche of content out there. And this article that I found, just really talks about, and it sounds like a great promise to be able to build your content, and within 15 or 30 minutes, you can plan the different posts. And there are other tools. Hootsuite is another one perhaps you know of or are using that really help to buy you time. And that, I know, is your biggest challenge, is the time constraints on your business. So take a look at that. So let's talk about some of the things that you guys are dealing with. And I'm hopeful that we could brainstorm ideas here and share to make your job easier and your marketing more effective. One last thing I want to say is that outsourcing to do some of this is certainly an option. There are a number of businesses out there. Upwork is one of them, perhaps you're familiar with, and it offers a crowdsourced resource for writing. Maybe you wanted to have regular blog posts and you don't want to write them, so you could certainly consider outsourcing at this point. I think there's no shortage of great folks out there that you can tap if you don't feel confident about your own skills in that regard. So Penny, I want to answer your question before I forget. And you asked at the beginning of this session, that you have a network marketing business and you're wondering what you would recommend as the best platform to use. So I think it's important to know, again, going back to what I said before, what are you trying to achieve? Who are you trying to reach? If it's women age 35 to 55, I would say Instagram is absolutely the best place for that activity right now. And I'm just taking a leap. I could be wrong about your audience. I'm going to scoot down here. So from Youths Munkelwitz, I have a brand new tour business on charter sailboat. What do you feel is the best format to start with? Ooh, that sounds exciting. Tour business on charter sailboat. So, I mean, that's a very visual, I would think Instagram would be a great place for you to focus your attention. It is a visual platform. It's easy to use. And I would say stories and also videos and still shots in the feed itself would be a wonderful platform to start with and see if you can build an audience there. So let's go down, Photify asset. Okay, do you have Kathleen asks, do you have a screenshot example of Photify branded asset? I do not, but Photify itself, the website, and if you download the app, there are templates that are provided for you. And I don't have them right here to show you, but it is almost easier to go and look at it than for me to describe. And Kim Lean Hong says, hi, Kate, how is Later different from Hootsuite, please? The main difference in my knowledge is that Later has decided to really focus on Instagram, and Hootsuite crosses over to Twitter, to LinkedIn, to Facebook, to Snapchat, and they do all of the platforms. But I think Later decided as a business early that they wanted to specialize and become the go-to for Insta, because Instagram is a huge platform. So it's certainly feasible to build an entire business around it. So Karen Casey asks, how do you pick the right demographics to boost a Facebook post? So I think the question is really, knowing your product and what you're, what is it? What are you selling? What does your service do? So, if you're a career coach, let's go back to that. A career coach who wants to focus on early career, not mid-career. Certainly there are a lot of folks out there doing the second act career coaching. Let's talk about maybe, I've heard that a lot of younger people really lack mentorship and would really benefit from help in the early years, like 21 to 35. So that would be your demographic. And then, so you would want to zero in when you're looking at boosting within Facebook tools to that age. Maybe you want to focus on just women. And then of course the geographic focus. So hopefully that's helpful. The tools are amazing on Facebook. That is probably one of the strengths that they bring, the size of the platform, and also, but now I'm saying that age group is not on Facebook. So you would want to use, I would think, either Instagram or maybe TikTok would be better. LinkedIn, also really great. It's not an exciting, sexy platform, but people know they have to be on there if they're serious about their careers. So you might consider that as well. But you really do have to think about what you're trying to achieve and who you're trying to reach, and go out from there. So Penny Jones asks, business owners and real estate professionals. Okay, so your networking, network marketing business is for real estate professionals and business owners. So yeah, I mean, I think the answer stays still. I would also consider LinkedIn would be a good place for for that. And I certainly, as time has gone on, LinkedIn has become more and more popular across the board. It used to be very much more corporate, and now I think everybody's jumped into the pool. All these things are, not evergreen comments. I know this is a recorded webinar, but we're in December of 2020. I think that right now LinkedIn is getting, at least in my experience, awfully spammy, and I wish I would find more quality exchanges there. Perhaps I need to devote more time to building my network in there, because I feel like I just get a lot of come on messages in my message box there.
Kate, it's Bob. There was an earlier question from Elisa about how far ahead do you plan your content? Maybe can you give some comments on that one?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, it's a good one, and it's one that requires some pondering. And I was recently working with an events business. Obviously, COVID has changed so much for that business, and I'll use her as an example. She probably had her first, two quarters planned out at the beginning of 2020 in terms of her goals and what she wanted to do with her marketing. And it all had to get scrubbed. However, the basics on her being able to share her authority, she actually wound up becoming part of the state of Connecticut's COVID task force for the industry that she's in. And so she was able to change her content plan, and I think probably is only planned out 60 days, 90 days, a quarter, to report back on the updates that are happening in the industry, and become in that way a very sought after resource, and building her authority, her credibility by bringing news from Hartford, from the governor's office, and from discussions that were happening there. I think it's a very industry and situation specific question. Unfortunately, I'm not answering it very carefully, very well, because it's just it's case dependent. I think in general, though, your brand and what you stand for and the services you offer aren't going to change. And I think if you're brand new in the market, you ought to be able to map out a year worth of themes that you would want to engage your audience on in order to educate them about who you are, and share success stories. And then you figure out how to tune those messages for the various platforms you're going to be using.
We got one from Kevin here that says, I do social emotional development. A lot of my work is with kids. Getting permission to post video is tricky. Any suggestions?
Yeah, well, I think the kids are a no-go on that. And so it's really going to be you, and perhaps willing, maybe parents wouldn't be willing. Other experts in this development community could be really helpful. In other words, thoughtful dialogue, and conversation about how to get over hurdles and success stories, problems that have been resolved. I think you've got to kind of talk about the subject. You can't feature the subject in that case.
Yeah, certainly a difficult one. Just one here from Meredith. It says, I work with a bank and all the constraints that involves. Do you have ideas on having fun within a serious industry that relies on integrity and customer trust?
Sure. Well, in that case, I mean, I think the employee pride, the things that are really special, the values that the bank and the institution brings to the community, those are all on the table, and very, very, the bank would be happy to have those shared. I know financial and I know pharmaceutical and some industries, you are a little bit restrained, or frankly, a lot restrained and restricted. That does not mean, though, that institution doesn't want to get out there. So there are ways that employees' stories. Would be a wonderful thing, and Photify might be a good way to have that. The bank's brand being consistent with all the employees, but everybody's got their, maybe it's Friday fun, sharing ideas about what you're doing for the weekend during COVID. Any number of things that are really not going to impact the confidentiality or the issues around the business. I do want to go back to the emotional development thing. The other thought I just had was, you could also, this is a topic of big, newsworthiness. There certainly it's, so you might want to bring in current events, for lack of a better way to say it, and wrap, your business around those and discuss those, talk about those. Maybe it's just you talk, it's development update 1 minute, and you do that once a week, and it's things that are being talked about. Certainly right now, mental health issues, learning issues during this pandemic are very topical and would be, I would think, interesting for people to hear about.
Okay. We have a Twitter question from NG. I'm now building up an audience on Twitter, but it's slow. I wrote useful, thoughtful content, but I get so few views. Then people write mundane stuff and it gets a lot of engagement. Feels like there's a club that's a bit of a Ponzi scheme there. How do I break in, or do I just try another platform? My business is service oriented and innovative as it marries different fields.
Yeah, I feel you. I think Twitter can be, it's amazing. Twitter is a beast with many heads. It can be really valuable for businesses. And it can also be a big waste of time. Like, a lot of people are just snarky on there. One thing that I might suggest is, first of all, watch the traffic, become a student of it. And it sounds like you probably maybe already are, but go in there with homework assignment. Try and find like industry or someone who is doing well with it and getting traction, and study what's going on there. Another thing is the community building aspect is really where Twitter is exciting for me. I've been able to have chats with CEO of Kind Bar, and because we follow one another and we express interest, a view of interest to each other, and so that is a link and a connection. So I would say focus on community building and not trying to amplify your own voice first, and see if that helps get you up to the next level.
Okay, great. Yeah, certainly Twitter can be challenging at times. Another one from Alicia. As a virtual assistant and project manager, how can I best share success stories on the work I do with clients other than sharing the types of services I offer? Again, I think it's related to the case study comments that you made in your prepared remarks.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, because the actual work, I don't know if the issue is the confidentiality of not being able to share the actual client or how to share the work. I think it's, the nits and lice of the tasks are probably not that interesting. For social content, but the impact is huge, right? And the value is huge. So to me, my mind goes right to all the things I could do if I didn't have to do the things you're helping me with. So maybe I kind of am imagining like a sped up video, or, something that has some text on it that talks about, job done, and other things that could be done. I don't know if I'm being clear, but I think it might require a little bit of skill building in being able to create great, like smart, snappy, short videos.
Yeah, then I think if I can just add to that demonstrate impact of the work is where I think the key is. So.
Yeah, exactly. And that's a great point, Bob. So like, you don't have to be technically 100% correct here, but you might say, 20%, you might put a statistic of time saved in the day, 2 hours saved equals more clients, or just, you know, some little way to proof point the value that's being brought in dollars to the client.
We have a question from Donna, who has a natural medicine practice. I was mostly in person by trying to move up to, was doing it mostly in person, but now trying to move up to mostly digital consulting and workshops and some supplement and herbal sales. My audience is mainly 35 to 65. I've not used video at all. What platform do you suggest? I do have Instagram and Facebook. I don't blog much, but know I should.
Yeah. Wow, that's great, great business and a good audience, a growing audience. I certainly think you're in the right place. I think Instagram and Facebook are where you need to stay. And, you know, the great news is that creating an Instagram story or an in-feed video for either of these is really not difficult at all. And as I mentioned in the slides, the tutorials are out there. So I promise, if you devote a couple hours, you're gonna know how to do it, and then it becomes what type of content. And I think, you know, I think stories, I think client stories, and you do not need to use the names. You can talk about the situations, and this can be done with, have you ever seen, you know, video doesn't have to be moving. It can also be like this PowerPoint that's strung together. And I've seen that used very effectively, so that you can just have a series of text slides that run with music that talk about your business, and artfully done, not boring, you know, beautifully done. I've seen this done really effectively. I watch them, I like watching them, and I've learned that so-and-so healing, you know, she's in business, she's right in my town, so on and so forth. So it may be something like that. I would also say the same advice would apply to you as the gentleman who was having trouble getting traction on Twitter. Is go just do your, you know, do some traffic watching and do some research and see what is out there, what's working, you know, for people. If you see that somebody is in a like business, maybe they aren't near you, but they're getting lots of engagement and they have lots of followers, then, you know, there's nothing original in this world. You can borrow some of those ideas and use them for yourself.
That's great. Question from Rosalind. I'm an interior designer. My target market is the Millennium Henrys. Would Insta be the best platform?
Well, so no, that would be like a 21-year-old to 39. That's what millennials are. And Henrys, I assume, is just the men. Yeah, I mean, I think Instagram, great, but not solely Insta. I think Snap, you know, we didn't talk about Snap, and I don't use it, so it's probably why I didn't talk about it. But it's certainly getting a lot of a second look now in the last few years by businesses. I also think TikTok would be great. TikTok is probably, as I know, the 21, 25-year-olds spend a lot of time on TikTok, so I would investigate that. So maybe Instagram and TikTok might be places for you to devote some time, and think of, you know, a couple of different thematic ways to carry your message in each of those, and keep it the same if you're getting some traction. I'm sorry, Bob, what's the business?
The business is an interior designer.
Oh, interior designer. Oh, that's fun. That would be really, really fun for TikTok and Instagram. And because obviously highly visual, music, you don't need to be in it. You don't need to say a word, you know, again, just some great visuals and some type over that. And your brand assets should be visible. That's one thing I would really impress. Sometimes people get so carried away. Big ad agencies on making television commercials have been guilty of this for years. They create award-winning ads. Guess what? I don't remember what the product is or who the company is that they're featuring. So make sure your brand is like in the frame. Keep it in the frame.
Okay. We have another one now from Carolyn. Kate, is there a resource to find out the users on each social channel within a geographic area?
I think I would imagine that the Google is your friend there. I would ask the question, just as you've asked it, what age ranges are on Instagram? And no, there are. I have seen on Facebook, the answer is of course yes, and Facebook and Instagram, being one and the same company, have detailed demographic info. And if you're, one thing that I do want to make you aware of is there is customer support. They have small business consultants at Facebook and Instagram. They are really trying to build out their small business offerings. And so there is a way to get someone on the phone if you're interested in knowing all that, and they could help you. But I promise if you Google a couple different things, you will probably dig that information up without very much work. I just don't know off the top of my head where that resource, would be, but they're keeping it and they're sharing it because they want you to advertise. So that information is out there. And also academics keep that information updated. Business schools might have it, NYU or Columbia certainly have great digital marketing departments.
Okay, that's helpful. We'll go to another one now from an artist, from Gigi. What is the best way to be seen on Instagram? I use hashtags, but most of my feedback is from contacts. I tried ads, but still no new audience.
Well, one thing about that particular issue is, and I'm a budding artist myself, I've not tried to sell anything, but I understand what you're saying. Community is probably the path to one very good path to success, because the visibility for just one person is difficult, to achieve. But if you are part of a guild, part of a network, some groups, I think you may want to invest in not being a solitary if you are, and really leaning into the people that are in the larger space. Yes, other artists, but other instruction professionals, sellers, collectors. There are, many groups and communities out there. And so, both on Instagram, I'm trying to think, you probably, you would just start following a variety of different, towns have their own art associations, and begin to support other folks. And perhaps if relationships are built, then there's an opportunity to ask for support in kind. It's not an easy, immediate fix, but this is a long game.
Yeah, thanks. Very sound advice. We have a question here from Galaxy. I have an inspirational broadcast and would like to add inspirational products as well. What would be the best way / platform to tie them together? I'm also revamping a women's accessory boutique and want to know if these can merge.
Oh boy. I don't know. I have to think about that one now. Let me see here. That Galaxy, that's from Galaxy, Bob?
Yes.
I have an inspirational broadcast, and I would like to add inspirational products as well. Okay, so I assume that's a podcast. What would be the best way platform to tie them together? Well, I mean, I would imagine that you have an opportunity, Instagram again, I would kind of go back to, and Twitter would be good for this too. There are, lots of hashtags. I'm glad that the previous question brought up hashtags that can get you some visibility for X, item. If you are centering on those. I put hashtags in my Instagram as just as my own personal, and geographic hashtags are a great way to increase your reach. So Ridgefield, Connecticut, for example, is near me. I'm in Westchester, New York, but I might put a hashtag in and where I've gone, and I get a group of new followers who are interested in content that's geographically based. So that might be one thing. I think actually the inspirational products and the broadcasts are very easy to tie together, Galaxy, if I understand the question, because you are, it's really, you're going to be your own advertiser at the end of your content broadcast. You're going to be able to talk about the products. And I would say there that a special offer or a giveaway that is content as well. People don't think of it as content, but contests and giveaways are ways that, put content out there that allow new people to kind of sit up and pay attention. And, you create a little bit of urgency. I'm not sure if that was helpful, but.
Okay, well, there's some ideas there. We have another one from Kim Nian. I'm creating an e-course on how to create a useful physical product from just your idea. How do I best find who's my audience and to separate my course from do-it-yourself on YouTube?
So you turn ideas into things. I'm creating an e-course on how to create a useful physical product from just your idea. How do I best find who are my audience? Well, I think YouTube would be the place for that. And maybe you start, a channel on YouTube that would be specifically for ideation, for inventors, idea people. And, you might want to start with and again, this is just off the top of my head, but featuring folks that have successfully done this. It does not mean that you did it with them and for them, but you're showing the way through a case example. So you might want to collect a couple of those in order to announce your channel and feature those until you have some that are actually your clients. But that could be the channel content itself, that it features a new idea and the process of the step-by-step process of how you do that. You're not giving away trade secrets, but you are kind of top lining it in order to illustrate the process. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think it's a challenging one, but I think I would agree that YouTube is the place to go to do that. We got time for about one or two more. We have one more on geographic question. What's the best way to reach a certain county of interest? For example, Lower Fairfield County, Westchester.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great question. And it's so fun with, Twitter, especially, Instagram too, LinkedIn as well. You just use their search tool, search bar, and hashtags. I mean, Fairfield County has probably 24 hashtags. Now, I wouldn't just click and trust that those are really popular hashtags. Take a look in, see what that hashtag has, how many posts, how recent those posts, and how relevant those posts to what you're trying to do. But I would use the hashtag search on those platforms, and the @ search, of course, at Fairfield County. There's a number of there are a number of handles that relate to every single county has that, and they maybe 5 years ago they didn't, but they sure do now. And their communications team in that government is paying attention to that and posting that. So it's actually one of the easier things to achieve and to grow it, by using that geographic anchoring element. Also, you can go down a rabbit hole just Googling and checking out people's websites and what their social county geographic specific content and seeing what tags they're using to anchor their content. So you can learn a lot by just doing some traffic watching, right?
Yeah, that's great. I think that's all the time we have for questions today. Just a reminder to everyone, this webinar has been recorded and the materials will be available within a couple of days on our website, fairfieldcounty.score.org. Our next live webinar is tomorrow, Wednesday, December 9th at noon. And the topic is nonprofit fundraising in the age of COVID with Stan Whitcow presenting. And again, if you would like free individual counseling, you can use the link on our website, the Request a Mentor link, or you can use the link that is on the next slide. If I could ask you, Kate, to move the next slide.
Oh, yes.
And also, please fill out your evaluations. They're very helpful to us at the end of the webinar. So on behalf of SCORE, I'd like to thank everyone for attending today. We had a great turnout and a great dialogue. And in closing, a big thank you to Kate for presenting today, and stay well, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you. Yeah, my pleasure, everybody. Thanks for joining. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Rob.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.